I
the
thought
market?
tax reform would be a nice positive, but ultimately I thought we've been going to be growing a trend, maybe a little bit better than trend. I've been certainly more positive.
So just not much, a little bit better than trend.
Yeah, okay.
Is that what you've seen, would you say?
No, I would say actually I was wrong.
Oh, okay. All right. I just remember what people, just the feeling that I have when because I remember that we've sort of talked about that in the past.
We have, and I've been more positive, I think, on the market than I've been on the economy.
How about now?
I think the economy's doing well. I think it's probably going to slow a little bit back down to something closer to trend-like. So I was wrong for a period. Hopefully, I'll be more right than wrong.
Hopefully, we will stop growing as fast.
Well,
so you'll be right.
I'd rather the market continue going up because ultimately that's where I spend more of my time rather than not.
But did you really say hopefully the economy will start slowing?
I think ultimately if you have always a trade-off between a really fast-growing economy, exceptionally low unemployment, and when the Fed is going to be forced to tap the brakes, and whether the Fed will aggressively over-tap the brakes, which tends to cause problems.
Okay, so in terms of the stock market itself, it's one thing you mentioned in your notes today is since the dips that are being bought have been more shallow, that maybe that's a positive.
Yeah, I mean, I think it speaks to the fact that you're seeing investors look at the situation. I think they're separating some of the noise and the signal, and they continue to come back to earnings are doing well. Earnings will likely continue to do well until we find a reason for costs to spiral higher, whether that's due to labor, whether that's due to raw materials, whether that's due to availability. Ultimately, that can be a function of interest rates in terms of driving up the cost of borrowing. And so long as we continue on this, I think, positive earnings trajectory, we wind up seeing our markets continuing to appreciate. There's always a trade-off between sentiment, which works its way through valuation, and the earnings story underpinning that. But right now, we're seeing reasonable expectations. We're seeing those expectations being beaten more often than not, and the earnings story grows.
As far as sentiment goes, still an unloved bull?
I think it's an under-respected bull. I think when you look through, people have continued to think that there was something that had to go wrong. At the end of January, stocks are trading at 18 times earnings. I think that was beginning to be very much a loved bull. But at the 16 multiple, things are on the higher side of average for the equity market. And I think higher side of average is more likely than not going to give you average equity returns, which in the scheme of things, mid-high single digits is a pretty powerful story. And certainly if you can compound at that rate for intermediate long periods of time, you wind up in a much better place.